So many of our favorites to watch, all of them are being bashed. I guess that's what we should expect on the Bullied Nostalgia podcast.
If you're hearing this transmission, take it as solace that other humans have survived the apocalypse. There are pockets of human survivors spread throughout the globe that continue to fight back against our fluffy oppressors. May 30th, the date's synonymous with our destruction. When the rainbow lights filled the sky, most took it as some kind of sign that humanity had found world peace. Funny to think how wrong they were. This broadcast is to remind you that there is hope. So I want to take a few minutes to introduce listeners to our strike team. While it was a shock to encounter dogs that spoke English, as far as we can tell, they struggle to speak other languages. To leverage this, most of our attack plans are broadcast in French. That's where I come in. I'm Tim, the translator. Another crucial component in our war against fluppies is identifying them. They look exactly the same as normal dogs. There is absolutely no way to tell them apart from a traditional canine. Thankfully, we have a specialist. Chance, can you share a little bit of how your state-of-the-art fluffy identification methods work?
I'm just worried about the people who've never tuned in before, and this is what they find out.
Hey, if you weren't listening to our podcast a year ago, we don't want you.
Chance, I don't know how you can tell the fluffies apart from regular dogs. Whenever I see any animal, all I can see is a dog, so...
Normally, dogs don't wear battle armor made out of saucepan.
Oh, I'll have to write that one down.
The little intel we were able to accumulate about the fluffy homeworld puts their technology a few hundred years behind ours. Unfortunately, they closed that gap with the use of flying beds and other magic. John, can you share with our listeners what we're doing to stay ahead of fluffy technological developments now that they have access to AK-47s?
We've made a point of cutting off all human hands so they can no longer scratch the fluffy dogs to emit this magic.
All humanity has lost use of their hands.
Not use of their hands, their hands.
We replaced them with AK-47s.
Lastly, we know that our Earth was curated for fluffy invasion, so the deck is stacked against us here. Well, it would be easy to interpret that means our failure is inevitable. It also means there's hope. Hope in the form of other realities, worlds, and planes of existence, with allies and other technologies that can level the playing field. It's this last-ditch strategy that is entrusted to our sniffers. Kylan, the key finder. Can you share with us some of the best anti-fluffy worlds you've discovered in your journeys?
Every single world we found has been filled with fluffies, so not great so far, but we're working on it.
R.I.P. Mr. Hamish.
I really thought you were going to do a joke there that it's like, we've seeked out the help of other worlds, and that's why we have Kylan, our gremlin translator. Goblins that go?
No, I do trolls.
Trolls.
No, it seems like fluffies are a universal constant. Sorry.
Well, fun, nice knowing you guys.
There you have it. Stay hidden, stay safe, and if the sky ever shimmers with rainbow lights, hide. Humanity will prevail.
Now back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
On the Bullied Nostalgia podcast.
Yeah, well, I felt it was important to scare away any newbies from season 4.
Get out of here. We don't want you, Grammy.
Yeah, so season 4, how we feeling?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Wait, do you mean about the movie? Then bad.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good. But the movie, it went poorly.
I know we talk about how we don't care about this podcast or that it will never be successful. I guess we've hit that marker in either episodes created or subscribers or whatever. But I've had sponsors reaching out, and so
What?
it's like, should we sell out?
What kind kind of sponsors.
I do know that there are some fake sponsors who try to get you to like download malware by pretending to be somebody who wants you to sponsor them.
It's that unbelievable, hey?
What were the things that sponsored?
Well, if we talk about them, then I'm going to want a sponsorship money. So we can talk about it another time. How is everybody doing? What's new? What's hip? What's happening?
We watched a bad movie, which isn't new.
Well, who said it was bad?
John, you like it, therefore it is.
Yeah, we've discussed this, John. You don't like things because they're good.
Well, what if I told you that I really didn't like it?
You just said, who said it was bad?
Well, that doesn't imply that I thought it was good. I was just asking.
Yes, it does.
I have some fun news.
Oh, go ahead.
So I went and hung out with a friend of mine named Chelsea, and she brought her friend along, and her friend is the director of photography for all the Hallmark movies.
OMG!
Yeah, she's made 77 Hallmark movies. And so I asked her what my chances were of getting into the 78th. And she said that she would hook me up with the agency that she uses.
Oh my goodness.
So...
Tim, this is the moment. Oh my goodness.
You might actually make it into a Hallmark movie. That's crazy.
It's all about who you know, I tell you.
Maybe you'll be in that Hot Frosty, but like the 5th version.
The 5th Hot Frosty? It's like a Beethoven situation. He just keeps getting turned back into snowmen every time.
It's like Home Alone. After the second one, they just got a new person to do it.
Oh, it's a new snowman each time. Okay, well, let's start talking about our actual movie, I guess.
Oh, Tim, do people know what this podcast is about?
Oh my god. Instead, I talked about a fluffy invasion.
Yeah. I made that point that no one knows what's going on. We're like 1 minute in.
Welcome to Bullied Nostalgia. It's a podcast where we are so far up our own butts for lore that we can spend the first 5 minutes referencing an episode that happened a season ago. We typically watch movies from my brother and my childhood and rewatch them with modern nicotine-colored glasses in place and either reminisce about how much we loved them or, more commonly, tear them down just a little bit. So if you are new to our podcast and stuck through that really weird reference,
I'm sorry.
I'm not sorry.
And you need to go put that perseverance to a podcast that deserves it.
Hey, you guys, we've got credibility. We've got like sponsorship offers and stuff.
Sponsoring that, okay.
Sponsors that will not be named, ever.
Sponsorship?
We want to sponsor you, and they're like, actually, we don't want to sponsor you.
If we take a sponsorship, we should just redo the Fluffy sketch, but just replace it with whatever the brand is.
At first I was like, oh yeah,
For
like...
those of you who survived the Walmart uprising.
I was like, oh, that's a really cool way we could be different in season 4. Like, we could be like official and real and make some money. But then 2 years later, 5 years later, if I went back and I wanted to listen to the podcast back, I'd think I'd be distracted listening to sponsorship ads rather than our own stupidity.
Why would I want to listen to something that could be considered a livelihood when instead...
Well, that's why I looped you in on the conversation, because this is all getting passed down to Chance's kid. So I want to make sure that it's something worthwhile.
If you split it 4 ways, I don't know, I wouldn't be opposed. I'm not making money right now.
I know.
I'm sure trying to, but I'm not.
Okay, so if you want to have some input as to what we do on this show, what movies or TV shows we watch, or you just want to sneak in some questions or ideas into future episodes, you can reach us at bulliedpod@gmail.com. And if you want some merch, you can go to redbubble.com and search Bullied Pod, and you'll find our selection of t-shirts and things there as well.
I'm worried now that one person is going to email us saying that we should always start with a lore drop, and Dad's really going to run with that.
He's going to get an email that says, hey, you should do that thing that you did in that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles again. Voice clips? I loved it when you did voice.
I would send myself that email. Okay, so today's episode is Free Willy 2. Chance, do you want to tell us what happened in Free Willy 2?
Free Willy 2 is a movie about a family. Jesse, Elvis, and the two adults whose names elude me go off to the coast where Jesse is revealed to have a friendship with a killer whale there. However, there's a large oil spill which puts the whales in a lot of danger. So Jesse, with the help of Nadine, the girl he meets, and Elvis, try to save the whales, only to discover that somebody's going to try and take them away to an aquarium afterwards. So it's up to the three of them to save the whales, both from the oil spill and from the greedy people who would take advantage of them.
Yeah, actually, that is your most succinct summary you've had in a while. That was pretty good, Chance.
Thank you.
So, Free Willy was a massive movie, and I'm going to get into it a little bit here in a second. So, any podcast worth their salt would be doing an episode on Free Willy. But that's not how we roll.
Any podcast should be doing an episode on Free Willy.
But we had a rule from the start, and that was we would only do episodes on movies that John and I owned growing up. And we didn't own Free Willy because our parents only believed in buying sequel movies. So this is what we had. And boy, oh boy, it's mediocre to its core. But let me tell you guys a little bit about how this movie came to exist. Free Willy came out on July 16th, 1993. It was made with a budget of $20 million. Its box office return was $153 million. It not only made truckloads of money, it actually was well received as well. It holds a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. Free Willy was about an orca, or killer whale as Chance said, that was in an aquarium and it was being mistreated. So a young boy named Jesse befriends him, and through working together and the power of friendship
and harmonicas,
they come up with a prison break idea, and Willy escapes from his pen and gets to live in freedom out in the ocean. Now, it wasn't lost on people that a movie about some wealthy people making a ton of money off the back of a captured whale was also what the movie was. In the movie Free Willy, the main title character, Willy, was played by a whale named Keiko. This movie made 8 times its budget, and so people started asking questions as to how ethical that was. The producers of the movie received over 300,000 phone calls demanding Keiko be released. But it's not that easy. Keiko was taken from his pod when he was only 2 years old in November of 1979. Whales live about the same amount of time as a human, so that would be like a toddler being taken away from his human family and then never seeing humans again, and then being told that he should be returned to his kind as an adult.
A toddler being forced to film with killer whales.
Yeah. This is aggravated further because orcas have very highly developed emotional brains. So the part of their brains that experience emotion is actually far more developed than humans. And each pod is their family that has its own dialect. When aquariums would put two orcas together from different pods, they wouldn't even speak the same language. They didn't understand each other, and it would often result in aggression or other negative outcomes. So the idea of putting this whale back into the wild, not knowing where his family was, not knowing where whales were that could speak his language, and having never had to hunt or do anything to survive his whole life, seemed difficult. We can talk about what happened with Keiko. They did eventually set him back out into the wild, but largely the takeaway is this movie made all the money and everyone wanted to see whales saved from evil tycoons. So that resulted in this movie eventually, 2 years later. On a budget of $31 million, it only made $68 million. And its Rotten Tomatoes score sits at 50%. John, why do you think this movie only has a 50%?
Oh boy. So the main bad guy is an oil spill.
True.
There's kind of these rich guys who secretly want to steal Willy, but they're in the movie very briefly, and they're not much of a threat. So, for a good portion of the movie, it focuses on Jesse's half-brother, Elvis. In the first Free Willy movie, Jesse is essentially an orphan, and he gets taken in by a family, and so his life parallels Willy's life, because Willy's also an orphan from its pod. But Jesse gets a happy ending. In the second Free Willy, he finds out he has a half-brother, Elvis, because Jesse's bio-mom has now passed away, and Elvis is a bit of a troublemaker. So half the movie is dedicated to Jesse and Elvis's relationship, which I don't know if that's why people showed up for a Free Willy movie. I watched this movie alone, so I didn't get to watch anyone suffer. And I think I was at the halfway mark, and I'm like, this is pretty boring.
Yeah.
At least in the first Free Willy movie, Willy's in an aquarium, so you can see him. But in this movie, he's in the ocean. So
You get to see his fin sometimes, or like he'll poke his head out of the water.
maybe those are some of the first reasons why it's 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you can't really see Willy in this movie, and that's because of all the Keiko controversy. Willy in this movie is an animatronic.
That's what I thought. It was very interesting how the whale would pop out of the water the exact same way every time. And also, he would swim forwards in a straight line without moving his tail whatsoever.
So, super cool side story. Joshua from the Beast Wars episode last season, him and I were watching Deep Blue Sea, a shark movie over the weekend. It's by far my favorite shark movie ever. And we decided to watch all the special features on the Blu-ray disc. So they're talking about the special effects because a lot of the sharks in Deep Blue Sea are animatronics. And the guy's talking, he's like, yeah, like I did a lot of work on Free Willy, Anaconda before I did this one. So, connections. And it seems like they used a lot of stock footage of orcas swimming, almost to the point where it felt like reused and mirrored.
Or like go into a new scene and it would just be like a random panning shot of the ocean that literally anyone could have taken. A lot of this movie felt like filler.
So, context for our listeners. We had a plan of what order we were going to do episodes this season. And then things got shuffled around. And I was talking to John and I was like, okay, it looks like we're going to get a couple cartoons back to back. And John was like, well, no, we should do a live action movie. And I was like, okay, pick one. And he was like, Free Willy 2. And I was like, oh my goodness, I wish we hadn't picked Free Willy 2.
When did you feel like that? Like that you wish we hadn't picked it? Was this before you watched the movie?
Yeah, as soon as you suggested it. But, you know, it checks all of our boxes. This is a movie that we owned growing up. It's just really boring is the problem.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton to say about it, but I do feel like we all may have something to say about the point when Jesse offends Elvis. Essentially, Elvis feels left out. He's not part of the group. He's this random orphan who shows up this movie. And Jesse essentially tells him to go bugger off. And Elvis runs away. And it hard cuts to a song that was the theme for this movie, but really does not fit in this movie at all. John, do you want to tell us your feelings on the childhood theme?
Well, I don't know. Like, Chance and Kai, do you feel like after watching this movie, have you seen my childhood? Something, something, something. Yeah, as soon as the song came on, it was a hard cut because it didn't feel like any of the other music in this movie.
Yeah.
But it was clearly Michael Jackson singing. It took whatever cheese level was there and it cheesed it up. So then I had to go watch the music video afterwards, and it's weird.
It is?
Yeah, it's definitely Michael Jackson after his prime. And it's kind of like a Peter Pan music video. He's sitting in the moss, looking up at you, and then there's a whole bunch of flying ships with small children in them. Anyways, Jesse and Elvis are in the music video.
Yeah, I heard that there's
no orca.
some footage from the movie that is in the music video that never made it in the movie. So, like, the real hardcore Free Willy tours out there have to watch the music video and the movie to get every bit of footage.
Also, I was just at a resort in Mexico, and I had to watch a Michael Jackson show, and there was no animatronic whale that came out at any point.
Why are we even here?
Yeah, they're like doing all this Thriller or Billie Jean, and I'm like, where's my childhood? Anyone seen it?
Bring out the whale!
Bring out my childhood!
Am I allowed to say what I didn't like about this movie?
Oh, yeah, I've had her.
I really do not like Elvis. He's the worst. I know the idea is no one's ever trusted him before. It's like, yeah, because he's the worst. Not a single word this guy has spoken ever has been truthful. Of course no one's going to believe you.
That was a really good line. It was supposed to be powerful or something. Because Jesse's like...
Why do I believe you?
Yeah, why should I
Because no one ever has.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's a reason not to...
Yeah.
Why should I trust you? Because I haven't been trustworthy at all. Okay.
Because even a broken clock is right
really
twice.
Use a person, Elvis.
Chance, Elvis did deliver one of the best lines of the movie.
And that was?
It's when he kicks one of those rich people in the butt. He kicks him in the butt and he says, "Hiya!"
Hiya.
Is that a hiya?
Hiya.
I didn't realize that we chase after certain actors in this podcast and watch all of the movies that have Drew Barrymore, but we also chase after certain lines of dialogue. We have to watch every movie that has Hiya in it.
Hiya is my favorite actor. I love it when a movie brings in Hiya for a scene. Very great. He's my favorite actor. For sure.
Did anybody have any comments or observations about the cast?
So, the whale veterinarian?
Yes. Elizabeth Pina is her name. But in the movie, she's Dr. Katie.
Honestly, there's only a few things I remember about this movie. Like, we talk about other movies, like Spaceballs, where I remember it scene for scene. This movie, there was only 3 things that I could remember from it. But one of them was her. And I was like, she's so familiar.
Yes.
She has to be something other than Free Willy 2, and she's in Rush Hour.
Yes.
She is?
Last time we did this, Chance identified the cartoon character that they voiced. Chance, I don't know how recently you watched this movie. Do you know which cartoon character Elizabeth Pina voiced? I'll give you a hint. It's a Pixar movie.
I
I was not paying enough attention to her voice.
John is right. She was in Rush Hour. She was the bomb squad girl that Chris Tucker is semi-partners with. I don't really know. Johnson. But also in Incredibles, she voices Mirage.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have guessed that, by the way, but that is cool.
Yeah, most of the cast is really just this movie. I mean, Michael Madsen is in every Quentin Tarantino movie, but he's pretty much the only one.
Jesse's dad in this movie.
Yeah. I was excited to see Marguerite Moreau, because she's in Mighty Ducks and stuff, but she's only in this movie for 30 seconds. She's the girl on the bike that Jesse is creeping with the binoculars. And so it's like, oh, cool.
Such a weird scene.
We've got Mighty Ducks. And then it's like, nah, that's over.
I don't know where this came from, but I was convinced that the boy in the Free Willy movies was Joshua Jackson.
Okay.
The actor from Mighty Ducks.
And Dawson Creek.
Yeah, and even when I was talking to Joshua about Free Willy, he's like, oh yeah, Joshua Jackson's in the movie. I'm like, no, but I thought he was too. So that's weird.
And so when you said you wanted to do Free Willy 2, I really want to do like D2 Mighty Ducks. That I think has real sequel power and would be fun to watch. But speaking of Jesse, this is kind of fun. The actor who played Jesse, Jason James Richter, he did a movie in 2021, a short film called Dolphin Boy. And it's a movie about a washed up child actor who was only famous for doing a series of movies where he saved a dolphin, and he can't get work doing anything else as an adult. So there's like video footage in this of him doing all the scenes that he did with Willy, except they've CG'd in a dolphin instead of Willy.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that he can make jokes about that. He really probably can't get work doing anything else. How many of these are there, John? There's like 4 Free Willys or something? Lots, anyways.
There are 4. So the first one was in 1993. Second one was in 1995. The third one was called The Rescue in 1997. In the third one, there is a boy, and his dad is a whale hunter. Is feeling really conflicted about this because he loves his dad, but his dad's hurting animals. But then he somehow gets introduced to Jesse. So Jesse makes like a guest appearance as like the mentor in this one and introduces the new boy to Free Willy. And then number 4 is very different. It's like a young girl, and the premise is that she goes to stay with her grandpa who runs a carnival, and Free Willy gets stuck near the carnival. And the grandpa tries to make a theme park out of Willy, and this little girl wants to free Willy from it. But it has no previous actors. But that 4th movie, that's totally unrelated, was made in 2010.
Oh, wow.
I watched trailers for all of them.
And you watched the opening theme for the Free Willy cartoon.
Yeah, did you guys watch that?
Nope.
Yeah, when there's a cyborg in it, you've got to give it a try.
Yeah. I'm telling you, you're missing out.
Apparently.
I feel like with some of these live action properties in the 90s, they're like, yeah, we can make this into an animated show. Just crank up the cool factor for Saturday morning cartoons.
And by crank up the cool factor, you mean add a cyborg.
Exactly. So Jesse seems to have some kind of connection to Free Willy. Does anyone want to try and make sense of what this connection is between the two?
Harmonica.
Yes.
Both have a love of the harmonica.
Yeah, so in the movie, Jesse does almost beckon Free Willy with the harmonica.
It's like a reverse siren.
It's like in Pirates of the Caribbean when Davy Jones
Pulls the Kraken.
Using the bell. I bring about Willy.
And the harmonica for Piano Man? Okay, there's this one scene where Jesse's trying to impress a girl. And so he's going to the water and he's showing her that there's this orca and it's friendly to him and he can ride it and not going to eat him. And I'm watching the scene and I'm like, he's playing with this orca like it's a dragon. This movie is How to Train Your Dragon, but worse. And it stuck with me that this movie is just How to Train Your Dragon all the way through. The way that they interact with orcas is like their dragon.
Wait, okay, Kai, you're gonna have to do a do-over. How?
Because, so, in How to Train Your Dragon, the first movie,
Yeah.
there's the scene where Hiccup is trying to show Astrid that this is not a bad dragon and won't eat them or fire breath or whatever. And
Right.
they go riding through the clouds. But in this movie, the alternative is the character is showing that the dragon isn't harmful. So instead what he does is he gets the dragon to spit water in their face and ride it into the horizon through the water, right?
Oh,
Like, this thing is not an animal. This thing is designed to be a dragon. It is a pet with fantastic abilities.
okay, so stay with me for
I-
a moment. Honestly, if all you do were to just add fins, it's pretty much a slug.
Oh my god, no. Okay, so, sorry, back on topic to the dragon thing.
Sorry, John,
I
we're
had
not
something to
doing your
say.
thing.
Right. This movie is really bad at doing what it set out to do. It's trying to show you that having an orca as a pet is a cool thing that you can use to impress girls, and orcas will save your life when you're in danger. And at the same time, it's like, no, orcas aren't pets. It's very weird.
Speaking of using whales to get girls, there's a scene where Jesse rides on a whale and
Mhm.
Elvis tells their dad, I saw him kissing a girl. And so then the dad pulls him aside and he says, you gotta stop doing that because it'll lead to sex. There's a little bit of funniness there, but also it's like really weird because he's like, if you ride on that whale, you'll have sex. It's very strange. Very strange.
See, and in my child brain, there was no part of me that ever remembered the word sex being said or any kiss happening in that movie.
Very blunt for a movie of its age.
You think Nana and Papa remember that?
I don't think Nana and Papa remember most of the movies we own.
They just saw a number 2 on the cover and they were like, good enough for me.
This'll do.
Kylan's talking about similarities with dragons, but I just feel like in the 90s and maybe into the early 2000s, that was the era of live action animal protagonists that were helping the boy get the girl. So many movies. They were like, oh man, like what animal have we not yet filmed and tried to suck all the money out of?
The answer was dragon. Really hard to film them.
The answer was slugs. Nobody wants to see a movie about that.
Oh, can you imagine a movie where it's like, oh yeah, thanks slugs for getting me this girl. Oh, like, what?
Gross.
How would they do that? How would a slug impress a girl? Slug
Tim,
Tara!
Tim, is it making you uncomfortable talking about slugs?
Yes, we know that. I was talking with someone like a month ago, maybe, and there was like a snail on the ground, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And
It was
they,
me.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was you. Yeah,
You saw a snail.
I saw a snail, and I was like, "Oh, that's so
it's a
cool."
snail.
And you're like, "Oh, well, that's just like a slug. Why aren't you scared of that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. For all intents and purposes, a snail is just a heavily armored slug." But I never had a book when I was little about snails eating me. So it doesn't have to make sense, John. It's just the way it is.
Snails are fair game.
Has anyone ever done a spit shake before? Where you spit on
Spit
your
shake?
hand and shake on it?
No.
In this movie, Elvis is pretty upset about not being included in things. So his now adopted mother is trying to reconcile with him. And he'll only do it if she spit shakes, which means that she produces saliva and ejects it from her mouth into the palm of her hand.
Disgusting.
And he does-
John, stop.
Way to
Why are you
make that
describing it like
was
that?
just awesome.
Yeah, why? That was
Way to
awful.
be, John.
You should never say that a human produces something when it's anything
No, it
related
was
to their body.
eject. That's what he did. That was the
Oh,
problem.
you guys are telling me you've never done a spit shake on anything.
No.
No, because even as a child, I knew that was weird and gross.
How could you ever trust anyone's promise?
Nobody's
Didn't,
ever
you were a
trusted you
child.
before, John. I
Okay.
only trust people that nobody's ever trusted before.
Over to close. Here we go.
Don't ever cookie. I didn't come up with one.
Do you want time or you're just giving up?
No, I had a question. If someone found this VHS and it didn't say when it was made, how would people know it was from the 90s? What gave it away?
This movie just reeks of the 90s.
Michael Jackson.
I didn't know that was a really good answer.
Michael Jackson passed his prime.
There was an original Game Boy. When they walked in on Jesse in his room, he was playing an electric guitar.
Those still exist.
A jean jacket with ripped off sleeves. And a whole bunch of footage of an eagle flying around and eagle cries.
In the Orca movie. That's
In
what
the Orca.
Free Willy 3 should have been. Eagles versus orcas.
I would have watched that instead.
Dance, if I can find a movie that's called Eagles versus Orcas, do you promise to watch it?
Yeah, straight up, if you can, I will.
This is like that movie where it's bird attacks.
There's a lot of crappy
Birdemic.
movies.
Yes, Birdemic.
He's gonna generate one with AI.
Oh, wow. Now with AI, you can really easily pit any animal against another.
Yeah, that's what I said.
no.
It says, an eagle has a very slim chance against an orca.
AI told you that?
I wonder why. In a hypothetical encounter, an eagle would be at an immediate disadvantage against an orca. The orca's size, strength, and aquatic abilities would make it difficult for the eagle to escape or even defend itself.
You know, the large size of the orca would make it difficult for an eagle to swim.
Why are we putting this in the water? Why isn't this fight in the air or on land, huh?
In the sky.
Did you guys watch that YouTube video I sent you of the orca and the great white shark?
No, I didn't.
Did no one watch? The last 2 days I sent you like 5 YouTube videos.
John, I rarely check my messages, I'm gonna be honest.
I watched them, John.
You saw it, Tim?
Am I your favorite?
Yes.
Okay, so an unknown listener has John as their favorite. Emma
Nana.
supposedly has Chance as their favorite. John as Dad. And Nana has Papa. There we go, full circle. I'm not anybody's favorite, as it turns out.
We'll find
Papa
someone.
got a favorite before
We'll
I
find
did.
someone for
Sad.
you.
Anyways, if you watch the YouTube video that I sent, oh, here, actually, I'm just gonna pull it up and put it in the Discord chat. You only have to watch like the first 10 seconds.
Why are there no eagles in this movie?
That's
Isn't that
terrifying. Yeah, that's awful. I hate that.
So, we wanted to free Willy, but maybe
Free great white.
Yeah. If we're like playing with orcas in SeaWorld parks, maybe great white sharks would be a safer option.
For listeners who haven't seen the video, it takes half a second for this orca to be nowhere near the shark, to immediately beat the shark, and the shark's presumably dead in that half second. It's insane.
Most shark deaths are just shark mistaking somebody for an animal a shark would normally eat.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, it really painted orcas as being pretty weak and timid when these people were trying to capture them and stuff. Whereas in modern day, it was all over the news there for a while. All these orcas who were wrecking yachts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a really hard time just watching it because it kept thinking about Blackfish, you know? When he was riding the orca, I'm like, ooh. I should mention, for our listeners who don't know, Blackfish is a documentary about an orca who was living in captivity and essentially just one day snapped and went crazy and killed its keeper. And I think a couple other people, or was it just one?
There were some questionable deaths scattered throughout its life. In retrospect, he probably killed all of them, but they swept it under the rug in most cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally on the side that orcas are like magical, emotional creatures, but I just don't think they're super safe. You know?
Well, in that case
I have a hard
specifically, that orca was bullied by the other orcas. They didn't speak the same language. When you think of these creatures as having highly developed emotional parts of their brain, we can't even understand what they feel or think. Yeah, Blackfish is a pretty dark movie. That's pretty hard to watch for sure.
Yeah, I did a deep dive on it today, and there's been no known deaths from orcas in the wild, and there's been only 4 deaths of human beings attributed to orcas in captivity. And the first death from an orca in captivity was in 1991, just 2 years before the first Free Willy movie.
Okay,
I guess that's only 4.
let's jump over to close. Chance, what do you think of this movie?
I think I've been pretty consistent that I think good movies reside on either the end of good or bad. However, I think this is a movie that starts to hit the mediocre valley that I begin to not like movies regardless. This might be a 1, you guys.
Sure.
I think it's probably a -1.
I agree with Chance. I think this is a pretty boring movie. What it does is good, but it does very little.
I know. The most fun I had in this movie, I was making fun of the main character slamming all the doors or riding whales and that leading to sex.
Yeah. If there were times I was laughing at the movie, I wasn't laughing with the movie. Yeah, it was a hard watch for sure. So I think I'm going to give this a 1. I don't think this movie is bad enough to warrant watching it for fun, but I also don't think it's interesting enough to watch it for fun. Kylan's example of How to Train Your Dragon might be a little stretched, but I do think that How to Train Your Dragon does a lot of the things this movie tries to, but just better.
Yeah.
For me, this movie, the best compliment I can give it is that it does not have fart and poop jokes. However, in this movie, one of the characters in the 90s uses a water gun that is not a Super Soaker 50 to spray an orca. Lost opportunity, 0 to 5 stars. I hate this movie.
Interesting. Water guns are part of your ranking system. I'll have to keep that in mind.
If it was in peak Super Soaker window, then yes.
Dad, what would you do if a movie had a Super Soaker 50 and a fart joke?
Ernest had a poop joke in it and a Super Soaker 50.
And you hated that movie.
Correct. It didn't get an immediate 0 stars, but it wasn't enough to save it. John, tell us your review on this movie.
I think I had more fun looking into orcas than I did watching this movie. So much of my enjoyment's based off of others suffering, and I didn't get to experience that. Though it did bring me a little bit of pleasure thinking about you guys watching the movie.
Imagining us suffering?
Sometimes I just let my mind wander and fantasize about you watching these crappy movies.
Sometimes when I'm having a bad day, I remember that we've been doing a podcast for 3 years where people I love have had to watch garbage movies, and it just turns my day around.
Chance is probably hating this right now.
Yeah, it was weird when I watched this movie. The big scene that I remembered was the fire in the oil in the water. That's the thing that I remembered most. When I started watching the movie, I'm like, wait, I thought we owned Free Willy 2, but did we own Free Willy 1? And so then I had to quickly skip to the end of Free Willy 2 and see that there was flames on the water. And I was like, oh yeah, this is the one. So the movie doesn't carry
any sentimental value in the start.
If I don't have a ton of sentimental value and I don't have suffering, then
what have you got? Kai?
Yeah, I don't have a cookie for this movie.
What about chewing on a harmonica?
That whale did put a harmonica in its mouth.
That robo whale, you mean?
Yeah. This is season 4. I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, you've outgrown cookies in season 4?
No,
I don't know.
Whoa.
I don't know if the cookies have ever been good.
Excuse me?
Can you incorporate a spit shake into this cookie?
No.
Are you going to start rating movies on trench coats?
No,
or?
I do not. I will not.
I'm sure the characters ate something in the movie that we can connect with.
Do you want me to pull out my adjective system? Because I do have a ranking
No, hold on. When you think about it, a cookie, when it's in the cookie jar, is kind of in captivity. But when you pull that cookie out of the jar, it's free.
And then when you light your counter on fire, then where does your cookie go?
I'm going to start talking about the ranking system that I made up, or I guess the categorization system. A while ago, when I watched Five Nights at Freddy's movie, people were trying to weigh it on a scale of how good it was, if it was bad, or if it was mediocre. And so I basically just made up a 2-adjective system. I think I said the movie was bad, but it was fun. This movie, I would just have to say, is boring and a waste of time. My 2 adjectives for this movie, boring and nothing.
Kylan, have you ever eaten a cookie that tasted boring and was a waste of time or a waste of calories?
No. Actually, I'm gonna refine the system.
Bread.
Okay?
100% gingerbread is a waste of time.
I love ginger cookies.
Not ginger cookies, gingerbread.
Oh, yeah. Ginger snaps are incredible. Gingerbread is bad. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Have you ever eaten a cookie that has an annoying younger brother that lies about everything?
No, I haven't. So I'm refining my system. This is kind of like a 5-point scale, I guess. A movie can be terrible, bad, okay, good, or great. And then I'm adding an adjective as well. So this movie is bad and boring. There you go.
There you go. All right. With that, I feel like we have first episode of season 4 in the can. You can find us back here next time doing one of my favorite 80s properties, Dino Riders. Yes.
Tim, where can we watch Dino Riders and which episodes are we watching?
Ooh, good call, John. You can find Dino Riders for free on YouTube. I am sure it's available other places as well, but this is just another one of those licenses that has been disregarded, so no one cares if people watch it for free.
Which I don't understand that. There is never a period in history where kids have not liked dinosaurs.
Well, and Dino Riders especially, I feel like they're sitting on gold with this one. But we can talk about that next episode. We will be watching episodes 1, 2, 12, and 13. The first 2 episodes that start the ball rolling, and then episodes 12 and 13 are a 2-parter. Only 4 episodes, short and sweet. All right, we are signing off then, but I just want to remind everyone that there is a poll attached to this video or posted on the same channel as this that you can vote for what one of our upcoming episodes is going to be. So make sure you hit that up and help us decide what we do this season. And yeah, look out for weirdos.
Adventure, Jamie, adventure!
Have you seen my childhood?
Okay, that was pretty good.
You gotta sing
I'm not going to. You can do that if you want.
Oh, my child. But I feel like it's higher pitched.
Have you seen
it's
my
Michael Jackson.
Childhood.
That was very good.
I was shocked that Kai refrained from saying praise Beethoven.
So, well, Kylan's done with that now, remember?
Yeah.
I'm done with cookies.
Don't forget to breathe. Get out.
Deal.